At exactly 11 p.m., the Iron Wolves biker clubhouse was shaking with laughter, music, and engine talk until the front door exploded open like someone had slammed into it with their entire body. Every biker froze. In the doorway stood a 9-year-old boy, barefoot, shaking, and covered in dirt. His pajamas were torn. His feet were bleeding. His eyes wide with pure terror. He gasped for air, looked at the bikers, and screamed, "Please take me. Please, just take me anywhere before they come." For a moment, the entire room went silent. 40 grown men, tattooed, leather-clad, hardened bikers, stared at this tiny, terrified child who had appeared out of nowhere in the dead of night. His chest was rising and falling fast. His lips trembled. And his little hands were shaking so hard he could barely stand. David, the club president, slowly stepped forward. "Easy there, son, who's coming?" The boy swallowed hard, tears swelling at the corners of his eyes. "The men," he whispered. Then louder, voice cracking. "They come at midnight." And with that, his knees buckled, and he collapsed onto the clubhouse floor, sobbing uncontrollably. The room erupted into whispers and shocked muttering. 40 seasoned bikers, men who had survived wars, gang fights, and prison, suddenly found themselves frozen by the sight of a crying child on their floor. Razor, a 6'4" mountain of muscle, whispered, "What the hell?" Snake, the club's tech guy, pushed his chair back, his face pale. But David, the president, kept his eyes on the boy. He knelt beside him slowly, careful not to scare him more. Hey, listen to me," David said softly. "You're safe in here. Nobody's gonna hurt you." The boy tried to speak but only choked on his own breath. Tears rolled down his cheeks, mixing with dirt. David placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "What's your name, kid?" The boy swallowed, voice trembling. "L. Lucas, my name is Lucas Perry." "Okay, Lucas," David said calmly, "where do you live? What happened to you?" Lucas wiped his face with his sleeve. "The Foster House, on Miller Road." "And why were you running?" David asked. Lucas' eyes shot up, wide with fear. "Because they're selling me tonight." The entire clubhouse went dead silent. No breathing. No movement. Just the crackling sound of a neon light buzzing overhead. Snake almost dropped the beer bottle in his hand. Razor looked like someone had just punched him. David leaned in. "Selling you," he repeated carefully. Lucas nodded rapidly, panic rising again. "I heard them on the phone. The men are coming at midnight. They're paying $5,000. They said. I'm the last one." The club members exchanged horrified looks. David stood up slowly, his voice suddenly cold. "Razor, lock the doors." Razor got up immediately. "Snake, cut the music. Arm up. Now." And within seconds, the entire clubhouse shifted from a party scene to a war room. The bikers gathered around Lucas, forming a protective circle without even realizing it. These men had seen rough things, violence, betrayal, war. But nothing prepared them for what was coming out of this child's mouth. David crouched again, voice steady. "Lucas, I need you to tell me exactly what's going on." Lucas took a shaky breath. My foster parents, Mr. and Mrs. Jennings, they're not good people." The statement alone hit harder than any punch. Razor muttered under his breath. "Son of a..." Lucas continued, words tumbling out fast, like he'd been holding them in for months. "At first, they acted nice. Really nice. Good food. Clean clothes. New toys. They smiled all the time." His expression darkened. But then, kids started disappearing. David's eyes narrowed. "Disappear? How?" Lucas bit his lip until it almost bled. "Tommy was the first. They said he ran away. But I saw him. I saw them tie him up and put him in a van. He was crying. His voice cracked. I tried to tell the social worker. They didn't believe me. Every biker in the room exchanged looks, anger starting to burn. David asked quietly, "Lucas, how many kids?" Lucas hesitated. 3. Tommy. Sarah. Marcus. He lowered his voice to a whisper. They never came back. A cold wave swept through the room. The Iron Wolves had heard rumors, missing foster kids around the county. Everyone assumed they were runaways. Not anymore. David's jaw tightened. How do you know you're next? Lucas' breathing sped up. Because tonight, they gave me a special drink. Said it would help me sleep. His hands shook as he wiped his eyes. But I saw Mrs. Jennings dump something in it. A powder. Snake cursed under his breath. David asked, "Did you drink it?" Lucas shook his head. I poured it out when they weren't looking. Then I pretended to sleep. His voice trembled again. And I heard him. Mr. Jennings, on the phone. The boy looked up at David, terrified and desperate. He said the package was ready for pickup at midnight. A tear rolled down his cheek. And that this one, me, would bring in $5,000. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Then the hatred in the room ignited like gasoline. Muscles tightened. Fists clenched. Teeth ground. David stood up straight, voice low and deadly. Not on our watch. He looked at his men. Razor, lock this place down tight. Snake, pull every record on the Jennings. Nobody, and I mean nobody, touches this kid tonight. Lucas grabbed David's arm suddenly, terrified. They'll come looking for me. Mr. Jennings has friends with guns. David looked down at him, eyes cold with resolve. So do we, kid. So do we. Snake immediately slid into his chair, fingers flying across the keyboard. The bright glow of the laptop screen lit up his face as the clubhouse shifted into full defensive silence. David stood in the center of the room, voice calm but dangerous. Nobody's getting through those doors. Not tonight. Razor slammed the heavy iron lock bars into place, clang. Then he pulled the metal shutters down over the windows. Within seconds, the entire clubhouse transformed from a hangout spot into a bunker. Snake squinted at the laptop. Found them. Carl and Diane Jennings. Licensed foster parents for 7 years. No complaints. No violations. Clean record. Razor growled. Clean? My ass. David crossed his arms. What else? Snake scrolled fast. Fostered 11 kids so far. 4 currently in their care. A small voice cut through the room. Lucas stepped forward slightly, hugging himself. 3 now. I ran away. Every biker in the room felt that line like a punch to the stomach. Snake kept searching. No calls. No warnings. No red flags. According to the state, they're model foster parents. David shook his head slowly. That's the problem. Monsters hide best when they pretend to be saints. He turned back to Lucas and knelt again. Son, we need everything. Fast. Lucas nodded shakily and told them everything. How the Jennings smiled at social workers. How the toys and kindness were just bait. How he saw Tommy tied up and begging. How the van drove away into the night. David stood again, jaw tight with anger. These people aren't foster parents. They're traffickers with paperwork. Snake looked up, eyes wide. David, they have connections. Someone's making sure their file stays clean. Razor cracked his knuckles. Then someone's gonna learn what happens when you protect child traffickers. In that moment, the Iron Wolves weren't bikers anymore. They were wolves preparing for a hunt. And no one, absolutely no one, was taking Lucas from them tonight. The clubhouse had gone so silent that even the snap of Snake's keyboard sounded loud. Every biker's eyes were fixed on Lucas. David took a slow breath and spoke gently. Lucas, take your time. But I need you to tell me everything you heard tonight. Lucas wiped his face with the back of his hand. His voice was tiny, fragile, but the truth pouring out was anything but small. They started being nicer to me, he whispered. Nicer than usual. David frowned. How? Lucas hesitated. They bought me new toys. Let me stay up late. Gave me extra food. They said I'm their favorite. But I heard Mrs. Jennings say. His voice broke. Say I was perfect for the buyer. Razor cursed under his breath and punched the wall. Lucas continued, trembling. Tonight, Mrs. Jennings brought me a glass of juice. Said it would help me sleep. David asked softly. Did you drink it? Lucas shook his head fast. I saw her put something white in it. Like powder. I pretended to drink it. Then I poured it in the bathroom sink. Snake muttered. Smart kid, that stuff would have knocked him out for hours. Lucas nodded. I pretended to fall asleep. Then I heard Mr. Jennings in the hall, talking on the phone. He swallowed hard, tears welling up again. He said the package is ready for midnight pickup. He said the men were already on their way. His voice cracked into a sob. And that this one would get them $5,000. Every biker in that room froze. Some clenched their fists. Some gritted their teeth. Some just stared at the floor in disbelief. But all of them felt the same fire building in their chests. David crouched in front of Lucas, eyes burning with anger he was fighting to keep controlled. You did the right thing by running, he said. You survived something many grown men couldn't. Lucas sniffed. I didn't know where to go. I ran through the woods. Through the dark. I just kept running. Then I saw motorcycles. He looked up, eyes shining with desperate hope. And the sign outside. Iron wolves. His lip trembled. Wolves protect things, right? David's breath caught in his chest. 40 bikers felt their hearts twist. David put a hand on Lucas's shoulder, firm and steady. We protect our own, he said. And tonight, you're one of us. A sudden buzz cut through the room. David's phone started vibrating. Unknown number. Every biker instantly straightened. David answered on speaker. Yeah? A cold, emotionless voice said. You have something that belongs to us. The boy. The entire room bristled. Send him outside, the voice continued. And nobody gets hurt. David looked around at his men, 40 angry wolves ready to tear apart anything that touched the child. His voice dropped to pure steel. Come and get him. And he hung up. The moment David hung up, the clubhouse felt different. He dealt with threats before, with gangs, rivals, debt collectors, but this voice wasn't any of those. This wasn't personal. This was business. And that made it 10 times more dangerous. Razor stepped beside David. Boss, that wasn't a local punk. David nodded. No. That was someone used to giving orders. Snake pushed his laptop aside. They're tracking the kid. They know he's here. That means they're close. Lucas, standing near the pool table, suddenly stiffened. His voice came out small. They always come fast. David turned to him. How many of them? Lucas whispered. I don't know, but Mr. Jennings said they're not regular men. His hands trembled. He said they work for the buyers. They wear black gear. They carry guns. They don't talk much. Snake's eyes widened. David, if they're running kids across state lines, this isn't a small ring. This is organized. David clenched his jaw. Yeah. And they think they're taking a child from us. Razor grabbed his shotgun. Over my dead body. Just then. Headlights flashed across the windows. Bright. Sudden. Close. Lucas jumped and grabbed David's vest, terrified. They're here. They're here. David stepped forward, eyes sharp. Everyone to positions. Nobody fires unless they breach. We're not starting this fight. He cocked his gun. But we are ending it. Bikers moved like a trained unit. Some blocked doors. Some took window positions. Snake switched the lights to low-red emergency mode. Razor pushed Lucas behind him protectively. The rumble of engines outside grew louder. At least 4 SUVs pulled into the parking lot, their high beams cutting through the darkness like swords. Slowly, heavily armed men stepped out. Tactical vests. Black uniforms. Military posture. Automatic rifles. Not street thugs. Not amateurs. Professionals. One man walked forward holding a megaphone. His voice boomed through the night. Iron wolves. Listen carefully. We don't want a war. Every biker tensed. The man continued. Give us the boy. And we leave peacefully. David stepped closer to the door, voice calm but deadly. You're trafficking children. The man didn't even flinch. We're retrieving property. Every biker in the clubhouse erupted with anger. Lucas covered his ears, shaking. David's voice darkened. That boy is 9 years old. He's not property. The lead trafficker sighed. You have 2 minutes. Send him out, or we come in shooting. Inside the clubhouse, every biker exchanged looks. There was no fear. Only rage. David looked back at his men and spoke one sentence. Then let them try. The moment the bikers realized the girl was missing, Ryder's heart dropped. He spun around, scanning the parking lot, and then he saw it. A dark van at the far end of the gas station. The back door was slammed shut, and the engine roared to life. She's in that van. Ryder shouted. In less than a second, every biker was on their motorcycle. Engines growled like thunder. Ryder's MC didn't hesitate. They launched forward, tires screeching against the asphalt. The van sped toward the highway, swerving wildly. Ryder leaned forward. Don't let them disappear. These monsters aren't getting away. Traffic blurred around them as the bikers tore down the road. Cars honked. Drivers stared. The child traffickers pushed their van to the limit, but the bikers were faster, tighter, and angrier. Blaze pulled up beside Ryder. You get the driver, he said. We'll box them in. Ryder nodded and twisted the throttle. This wasn't just a chase. It was war. The van swerved violently across lanes, trying to shake the bikers. But Ryder's crew stayed locked in formation, tight, disciplined, unshakable. Cars scattered as the chase tore through the highway. Horns blared. Tires screeched. The traffickers were desperate, but the bikers were unstoppable. Blaze roared up on the left side of the van, slamming his boot against the metal door. Stop the van. Now, he yelled. Inside, the traffickers panicked. One of them leaned out of the window with a metal pipe, swinging it wildly at Blaze. The pipe missed his head by inches. Ryder's jaw tightened. That's it, he growled. He accelerated, pulled alongside the driver's window, and punched the side mirror clean off. The van jerked. The driver lost control for a moment. Keep pressure on them, Ryder shouted. Viper and Tank came from behind, positioning themselves to trap the van between the bikes. The traffickers slammed the brakes, trying to force the bikers to crash. But Ryder's MC was smarter than that. They split formation instantly, regrouping like a well-trained unit. The traffickers were running out of tricks. Running out of time. Running out of road. And Ryder could feel it. They were close. Very close. Just as the traffickers thought they had shaken the iron wolves off, a thunderous roar echoed through the night. Dozens of motorcycles appeared out of the darkness, engines roaring like a stampede. Allied clubs from 3 states had answered the emergency signal. It wasn't just the Iron Wolves anymore, they were a pack now. The traffickers slammed their van into the shoulder, realizing they were completely surrounded. Front, back, and both sides, bikers everywhere. Tires screeched, motorcycles forming a perfect blockade. The lead trafficker raised his hands, voice shaking into his radio. "Stand down. We're surrounded." But panic spread through his team. One man fumbled with a rifle, the other reached for a flare. Chaos erupted. David's voice cut through the roar. "Hold your fire unless they make the first move. We're not starting this, but we will finish it." Lucas, hidden behind Razor in the clubhouse basement, could hear the engines, the shouting, the chaos outside. He clutched David's arm, scared but trusting. The bikers waited, muscles tense, eyes locked on every movement. And then, the traffickers panicked. A shot rang out. The night exploded. Glass shattered. Screams filled the air. It wasn't just a chase anymore, it was full-blown war, and the Iron Wolves were ready to protect the child at any cost. Amid the chaos outside, the roaring engines, gunfire, and shattered glass, David didn't hesitate. He sprinted down the stairs into the basement, grabbing Lucas in his arms. "Stay behind me. Don't look," David shouted over the roar of battle. Lucas's small body trembled against him, but he clung tightly. He trusted these strangers, the wolves who had promised protection. Razor had a motorcycle waiting in the shadows, engine idling. David carefully placed Lucas on the bike, strapping him securely. "Hold on tight," David instructed. "And keep your head down." With a roar, they sped out of the back exit, disappearing into the darkness while the firefight raged behind them. Sirens wailed in the distance. Finally, real law enforcement had arrived. The bikers had bought enough time to get Lucas safely away from the chaos. 2 towns over, in a small hospital, Lucas was finally examined. Dehydrated. Malnourished. Traumatized. But alive. David stayed by his side the entire night, making calls, coordinating with allies, and preparing for the next step. Even as he watched the child sleep, he knew this fight was far from over, but Lucas was safe. By dawn, the FBI arrived, a clean team, uncompromised. 14 traffickers were arrested. 9 bikers wounded, none dead. Lucas' foster parents, the Jennings, were raided. 23 children had been sold over 5 years. 2 social workers and a corrupt judge were also arrested. Thanks to Lucas' testimony, the entire trafficking network across 6 states was exposed. The missing children were rescued, alive but traumatized. The Iron Wolves had not just fought, they had ended a criminal empire. Lucas had no family left. David and his wife filed for emergency foster care, and 6 months later, officially adopted him. The boy who ran to bikers begging for protection found a family instead. The Iron Wolves became his pack. Lucas still wakes from nightmares sometimes, but now, someone is always there reminding him, he's safe. David smiles. "Kid, you already are a biker. Sometimes the scariest people are the ones who protect you the most."